didn't expect my husband's brother to stay so long. When I first married Daniel, I knew his family was close, but I didn't realize just how close until his younger brother Ryan showed up at our door one rainy Saturday afternoon. Ryan was 26, a few years younger than Daniel, and he had that restless energy of someone still figuring life out. He arrived with only a duffel bag slung over his shoulder and a half smile on his face, like he knew he was intruding but hoped we wouldn't mind. First, I didn't. Daniel explained that Ryan had just broken up with his girlfriend and needed a place to crash for a while until he got back on his feet. I told myself it would be a week at most, maybe 2, and I tried to make him feel welcome. He was family after all, and I wanted Daniel to know I supported him. The first few days were fine. Ryan was polite, funny, and even helped out around the house. He offered to mow the lawn without being asked, picked up groceries when he borrowed our car, and even cooked dinner once, surprising me with a surprisingly good chicken parmesan. I thought to myself that maybe his presence wasn't going to be so bad. But as the days turned into weeks, things slowly began to change. Ryan didn't seem to be in any hurry to leave. He applied for jobs here and there, but nothing seemed to stick. He told us he was weighing his options, which was his way of saying he was waiting for the perfect opportunity. In the meantime, he settled into our home as though it were his own. He left his things scattered in the living room, took long showers that used up all the hot water, and stayed up late playing video games with the volume so high I could hear the explosions from upstairs. Daniel seemed blind to it. He kept reassuring me. He just needs some time. He'll figure it out. And I wanted to believe him, but I was the one juggling laundry with Ryan's clothes mixed in, scrubbing dishes after he left them in the sink, and trying to keep some sense of normalcy in a house that suddenly didn't feel like ours anymore. The real problem, though, wasn't the mess. It was the way Ryan made himself too comfortable with me. At first, it was harmless. Little jokes, teasing comments, the kind of banter brothers-in-law might naturally share. But soon he started to push boundaries. He'd wander into the kitchen while I was cooking and lean against the counter, watching me a little too closely. He'd compliment my hair or my smile, in a tone that made me uneasy. Once, when Daniel was at work and I was cleaning the living room, Ryan sat on the couch and said, "You know, you're pretty amazing for putting up with me. I bet a lot of women wouldn't be this patient." I laughed it off, brushing his words aside, but something in the way he looked at me lingered. I told Daniel about some of the comments, but he only chuckled. "That's just Ryan. He's harmless. Don't take it too seriously." But I did. The week stretched into 2 months. By now, Ryan wasn't even pretending to look for his own place. He started inviting friends over without asking, leaving beer bottles on the patio, and using our Netflix account as if it belonged to him. I felt like an outsider in my own home, tiptoeing around so I wouldn't run into him in the hallway in the middle of the night. One evening, after Daniel had gone to bed, I was still downstairs tidying up. Ryan came in from the back porch where he'd been on the phone, and sat down across from me at the dining table. His tone was quieter than usual, almost serious. "You ever feel like you're stuck?" he asked, fiddling with a bottle cap. Paused, unsure how to answer. "Sometimes," I said carefully. He looked at me, his eyes searching. "I don't know what I'm doing with my life. But being here with you and Dan, it makes me feel like maybe things aren't so bad. Like I belong somewhere again." There was a weight in his words that made my chest tighten, not because I sympathized, but because I realized how attached he'd become to staying here. I forced a smile and told him things would work out, but inside, I knew something had to change. The breaking point came a week later. Daniel and I had planned a small date night at home, a simple dinner and a movie after a long week. I set the table for 2, lit a candle, and tried to carve out some space for us. But halfway through dinner, Ryan walked in, grabbed a plate, and sat down with us as though it were nothing. Daniel didn't say a word, just passed him the bread. I excused myself and went upstairs, trying to breathe through my frustration. Later that night, I told Daniel it was time to set boundaries. His brother had overstayed his welcome, and our marriage was suffering because of it. Daniel sighed, rubbed his forehead, and admitted I was right. He promised he'd talk to Ryan the next day. That night, I lay awake wondering how Ryan would take it. The next morning, Daniel sat down with his brother. I stayed upstairs but could hear their voices through the floorboards. Low at first, then louder as Ryan pushed back. "You're really kicking me out? After everything? I thought family had each other's backs." Daniel's voice was steady. "We've helped you as much as we can. It's time for you to figure things out on your own." There was silence after that, heavy and sharp. For the next 2 days, Ryan barely spoke to me. He packed slowly, dragging the process out, leaving half his things in the guest room as if daring us to make him finish. On his last night, he finally came to me while Daniel was outside. "I know I was a lot to handle," he said quietly. "But for what it's worth, I'm grateful. More than I can say." I nodded, unsure how to respond. The next morning he was gone. The house felt different without him. Lighter, quieter, almost like it had exhaled a breath it had been holding for too long. Daniel and I had breakfast together in peace for the first time in months, and I realized how much I had missed the simple comfort of our own rhythm. Ryan still calls every now and then. He found a small apartment across town and picked up a steady job. He seems to be doing better, though sometimes his voice carries that same restless energy. I hope he's finding his way. As for me, I learned something important. Letting someone into your home isn't just about offering them a roof over their head. It's about letting them into your life, your routines, your marriage. And sometimes even family can stay too long. I didn't expect my husband's brother to stay so long, but I'll never forget the way it changed everything. Our home, our patience, and ultimately, our understanding of what boundaries really mean.